Just about a year ago from the time of this upload, I put out a video where I attempted to draw more separation from my digital life by setting up my old phone as a Lite Phone. Hey, dude! Dude! Wait, what? Just turn it down. Just dial it back. Just a little bit.
Oh, sorry,
just
I was just really getting into it.
Alright, cool. Thanks, man. Since so many of you tuned in and joined me for the ups and downs of this little experiment of mine, I figured I'd give an update on where I'm at with the usage of this Lite Phone a year later, and fully elaborate on how this was the best thing I've ever done to understand my bad digital habits and take more control over my relationship with my phone than ever before. First, a short recap of where I left off. I'm just gonna try to fly through this giving the necessary context for where we're at now. Okay, here we go. This Lite Phone was intended to be purely a communication device for texting and calling running only on Wi-Fi. It had a random assortment of apps, all with their own intentions for areas of my life that could be improved by not having as many digital distractions. For a couple of weeks, I used it for things like meditation, video journaling, and allowed me to watch stuff while falling asleep without having to fall asleep or wake up to a bombardment of notifications and without the option to endlessly scroll through social media. In fact, removing the option to endlessly scroll through social media was the primary objective of having a separate digital device like this to begin with. So I could go about my life at home, removing the option to be distracted by social media, but still get texts and phone calls when needed, especially because my work from home job relied on it. Sadly though, the texting and calling was unreliable at best, and the usage for this phone became centered around meditation and sleep. It led me to realize that I don't have to overcomplicate my technology usage to minimize its distractions. All I really needed to do instead was put my phone into a landline mode, where I can hear it loud and clear if I'm getting a text or call, but leaving it entirely out of arm's reach. But here we are now a year later. My life looks drastically different than it did from back then. I'm dealing with a lot of different stuff now in my life than I was from back when I set this Lite Phone up. So I figured I'd re-examine my relationship to my Lite Phone. What role does it play in my life right now? Where is my relationship to my Lite Phone? Where is my Lite Phone? Where is it? No, for real. Where is it? I can't find it. I lost it. Oh. I mean, I should have suspected that it fell under the bed while I was sleeping one night, but I think the fact that I knew it was probably here, knew it wouldn't really take that much to find it, and didn't do anything about it until now, should probably speak for itself. Not only do I have a far healthier relationship to my regular phone right now, but I don't even have to do the whole landline mode thing that I was doing in order to remove the pull to start endlessly scrolling. But had I not done that Lite Phone experiment, had I not been frustratingly pushed to my limits that made me want to remove 90% of my phone's functions from my life altogether, I would not be here today with the healthiest relationship to my phone I've ever had. Let me explain. Oh my god, dude! I need you to turn that down. We got a stern talking to in the comments section about this in the last Lite Phone video, and I will not have a repeat of last time. Do you understand?
It's just a banger. I wrote it myself.
It's fine. Yeah, it's a good song. We just need to be able to hear what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. I'm doing a bad job.
Just keep it down. That's all I'm asking. Just keep it down.
I did a bad job.
Let's start out with this overarching principle. Endlessly scrolling through social media for hours is only a problem if you're not enjoying it. It's a problem if it's distracting you from the things you want to be doing. If you can go on social media for hours and you absolutely love every minute of it, if it is fulfilling something in you, if you're left feeling better by the time you're done, that is okay. That's what technology is here for, to give something to our lives. But my problem is I have a greater association with social media making me feel worse or allowing it to waste hours of my life that I wished I could be doing other things with. The problem lies in this moment where I've scrolled for a little bit, tell myself, okay, I want to be done, I want to move on to something else, but I feel like I just can't. The other things I gotta do in my life feel too much to handle, even potentially good things. So I sit here, trapped and held hostage by the addictive pull of these social media platforms. Even with hard, restrictive measures put in place, if your brain is weighing the effort it will take to get up and get back to work, get some chores done, anything that you are consciously or subconsciously avoiding, versus the effort it takes to keep sitting there and disable one little restriction, well, which do you think is gonna come out on top? My Lite Phone was intended to avoid getting in this situation altogether, to prevent me from having the chance to sit down and distract myself. While I was still systematically using it in my life, throwing off old routines and habits allowed me to identify the main areas where I found my phone to be a problem, which was basically any time my energy levels were at a low.
But life sucks. Life is tiring. I'm tired. I don't always want to do things. Sometimes I like not doing things when I'm tired. Phones are great for not doing things when you're tired.
Well, there's nothing wrong with chasing that little spark of dopamine that our phones give us. But for me, I had to cater the landscape of my phone to balance that need for that spark while I remain in power of how much I'm allowing this phone to take me away from the rest of my life. Some of the best things I've ever done that already significantly reduced my unhealthy social media consumption I did as part of a video from a while back. Deleting Facebook from my phone, only keeping Messenger just in case, and unfollowing almost everyone on Instagram that I didn't know in person. I kept a handful of creators and some famous people that I look up to that actually add value into my life. Where I do get to points where I actually want to scroll, or when I need a break in my day, there's always an end point to the content I'm seeing. This dissuades me from staying on the platform for too long and from returning to it repetitively if I continue to see the same content over and over. And the content I do see, for the most part, is actually uplifting because it's mostly just my friends just sharing life stuff. But aside from this very specific strategy to curate my social media feed, it's becoming increasingly harder for me to put into words just why I don't deal with social media addiction on the level that I used to. Probably the best I got is I think I just hated the feeling of doom scrolling so much that I can't open any of these social media apps anymore without that negative association. Over the past 10 years of my life, I have far more memories of this repetitive cycle. Being tired, opening social media, scrolling forever, feeling worse, having that feeling make me want to remain sedentary in a familiar activity with a familiar feeling, until the only thing that ends the scrolling is just how bad I'm feeling because of how much I just scrolled. I'm now at a point where I can preemptively tell when social media is going to make me feel worse, and avoid it altogether if I don't feel like it's worth risking being in a worse state of mind. I cannot put it more bluntly than my brain recognized this as a bad thing and retrained itself to want to avoid the bad thing, and I couldn't have gotten here had I not reached my own personal low points. I guess what's going on now is my brain won't allow me to get onto social media unless it's hit a certain checkpoint of well-being that I can feel confident that I can use it for its intended purposes, for connecting with others and gaining new perspectives. Again, I would not be at this point being able to see my problems with social media usage had I not tried the whole Lite Phone thing.
But still, I need easy and happy and mindless things to do when I'm not feeling well.
So what did I replace social media with? First off, I like Time Hop. It's kind of fun to go back and look at old stuff that happened on this day from years in the past. I'll often come across old pictures and posts, and it will remind me of something cool I did in the past, or something funny I saw that I saved. And like my Instagram, it has an end point. I have to wait until the next day to see the next round of stuff from years past. I like browsing Letterboxd. I'm trying to record and rate any movie I know I've seen. I like seeing what else is out there, and getting inspired to check out new stuff. I like to window shop on eBay for old retro garbage. I don't even really end up buying stuff in the moment. Maybe I'll save it, and if I'm still thinking about it in a day or two, I'll put an offer in. If nothing else, it just makes me happy looking at this stuff. Maybe that sounds really consumerist of me, but I think there are worse things to window shop than pieces of media that really do mean a lot to me, and supporting independent sellers, and giving an outdated thing a second life, rather than constantly wanting to buy shiny brand new things. Okay, sorry, topic for a different time. Maybe the weirdest thing of all is I actually really like messing around with AI image generation. AI art is obviously a big messy topic right now, to which I have some pretty strong feelings on. I know a lot of people do also, but the way I'm using it, I think, is where it's supposed to be at this stage. To type in something that you want to see, look at it, think either, wow, that's cool, or wow, that's really entertaining how much my prompt was botched, and leaving it at that. I'm a sucker for vintage, surreal, dark sci-fi fantasy movies, and I love reimagining familiar things in this tone, or just making up my own movie in my head. Yeah, it's a mindless consumption of dopamine, but if I'm at a low point and I'm gonna mindlessly consume dopamine anyway, it may as well be from my own imagination. So what is it exactly about social media that feels like an unhealthy way for me to deal with being in a brain rot state, but not these other platforms? First off, social media apps are tailor-made for giving you that spark when your tired brain needs it the most, and designed to be ridiculously hard to pull yourself out of. I don't know what anyone else goes through, but I've never once felt like I was trapped endlessly scrolling eBay. Also, when I'm exposing myself to my interests, when I'm with the things that aren't just distracting me, but actually are making me happy, and especially when these things feel like they're helping me just momentarily escape from real life, I have a much easier time going back into real life and actually feeling restored after a little bit of brain rot time. The thought even occurred to me to maybe try a Lite Phone 2.0 and exclusively keep all the aforementioned apps on it, but Truth be told, I don't feel like I need it. I see no reason to further complicate my digital life in this way. It's also worth noting that I've made a greater effort to use other forms of media to help ground me or pass the time in brain rot moments, particularly video games. A lot of simpler, low-commitment games tend to give me what I'm looking for, and actually, they usually give me a lot more if I'm in the right headspace and have the time. And yes, I still can get fatigued from too many text messages, even when none of them are work-related. But I've noticed it's usually big group chats that bother me the most when I'm trying to be in the zone with something. But I don't really want to put my phone on Do Not Disturb and block out everything. If it's just some fun back and forth conversation between a bunch of people that I don't absolutely need to be a part of, I'll silence the conversation and take a look at what I missed later. So here's my advice to anyone who wants a better relationship with their phone. Take extreme measures, but only temporarily. Maybe you do delete all social media apps from your phone. Maybe you do delete everything that's not texting and calling. Maybe you do lock your phone in a safe and only use a smartwatch to stay in touch with the rest of the world. But try it for a couple hours. Try it for a day or a couple days or a week. Do whatever makes sense to you. And during that period of time, really take stock. Where am I missing my phone the most? What's the most painful part of this? What's the most liberating part of this? Don't consider this period a detox. Consider it research. You have to be really mindful and honest with yourself and pay attention to all the nuances in your life at this time. On the flip side, when you do permit unrestricted phone usage for yourself, do the same thing. Really examine what's going on with this thing. What's going on in your brain when you feel at your worst with your phone? For me, it was through the combined efforts of placing some hard universal limitations, temporarily pushing myself to extremes, getting thoughtful and creative with giving my brain the rot time it needs either through my phone or through other means, and just a whole lot of honesty with myself. I can finally say that I no longer consider this thing a burden. Again, this took years, and I can't even fully blame myself for it taking this long to undo the very real addiction that these tech companies impose on our brains. But if I learned anything from over the years of trying to undo this addiction, is that these hard restriction tips will only go so far if you're not able to explore what role your phone is playing in your life, what situations are specific to you, and understand what your brain really is looking for when you get caught in an unwanted, excessive scrolling. The answer is going to be different for everyone. Everyone's going to have to try different experiments that suit their own lives, just as I did with my Lite Phone. Also, while I do have a good relationship with my phone now, that doesn't mean I will forever. All we can really do is just constantly learn about ourselves, scrutinize the behaviors that we wish to change, pay attention to our own experiences, as well as draw inspiration from the experiences of others to make those positive changes that we want to make in our lives. Hopefully me sharing this can provide some guidance for you as well, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For fuck's sakes. Is there a problem?